For a few minutes, think of this funny-shaped ball as a needle, helping weave a piece of fabric, a large piece of fabric in sporting Americana. Add this funny-looking ball to this industry, and what do you have? You have a socio-economic phenomenon over the last 3 decades called football. Where are the real roots, the real traditions, the joy of continuity? You find that in the college game. Tradition takes time, a lot of calendars. Ours is a young nation, but we're searching. And we're finding things we like enough to keep, and we're practicing them with sufficient reverence until we can call them traditional. And so it is with the game of college football. It has become one of these favorite things, a patchwork quilt reaching across our land, strong enough to survive rips and tears of clumsy people, because it draws its sustenance from the energy of the young and the wisdom of the old. From massive arenas reminiscent perhaps of Roman spectacle to cozy, intimate gatherings attended by family and friends. From warm tropical breezes to conditions more suitable for dog sled racing. From Orono, Maine to Oahu, Hawaii, college football has echoed with enthusiasm throughout the 80s. Yes, in a land 5,000 miles and 6 time zones removed from the birthplace of college football, the old game thrives. 2,500 miles from its nearest opponent, the University of Hawaii's football program is at once different, and yet very much unlike its counterparts in Ann Arbor or Austin. It used to be that mainland teams would schedule a game in Hawaii to have some fun and sun and make alumni happy. But the Rainbow Warriors have been whooping some of the vacationers in the 80s, and the big boys from the mainland can no longer count on a W to go with their frolicking. Tropical, exotic, and definitely unique. But out here on the edge of Polynesia, college football stirs the passions just as surely as it does in Norman, Oklahoma. If there is one place, one city, state, university that epitomizes college football, that place would have to be Lincoln, Nebraska. Fan support is a phenomenal aspect of Nebraska football. Outsider hasn't been able to buy a ticket at a home game at Memorial Stadium in a quarter century. And the average crowd of better than 76,000 makes it the 3rd largest city in the state every home game for about 4 hours. And believe me, it's a city decorated in red and white. The Cornhuskers have been college football's winningest team over the last quarter century, and they've appeared in 20 consecutive postseason bowl games. During all this success, there have been just 2 head coaches, Bob Devaney and Dr. Tom Osborne. While some programs gain notoriety for the truckloads of athletes they can send to pro football, Nebraska is a uniquely collegiate success story. 2 Heisman Trophy winners, 5 Outland Trophy recipients, 31 consensus All-Americas, all finding the pinnacle of athletic success while playing for the Big Red. Spectacle, artistry, athleticism. They're all present in this game we call college football, crackling with the electricity generated by a perfectly executed offensive play. Talk about generating excitement. How about those acrobatic, gravity-defying gentlemen whose assignment it is to catch the football? What makes the college game so appealing, so distinct from its professional cousin, is diversity. In the collegiate ranks, successfully advancing the football is accomplished in many intriguing ways. Formations, strategies, and philosophies encompassing the entire spectrum. Every so often, some inventive mind will plumb the past and come up with a formation that simply defies description. And doggone if it doesn't work. Formations notwithstanding, a talented trigger man is worth his weight in gold. If he happens to be 6'4" and weigh 215 pounds, well, his weight in gold might just be the value of his pro contract. Pro football scouts say that UCLA's Troy Aikman just might be the 1980s top collegiate quarterback. And the boys of the 80s have been pretty good. At Miami, a side-arming teenager led the Hurricanes to a national championship. Bernie Kosar, at just 18 years, helped put that big mug on the Miami trophy shelf. As a sophomore, he became a record setter, finished his academic requirements in just 3 years. And so what else was there left to do but go play with the big boys? 35 seasons after Eddie LeBaron starred as the big little man at College of Pacific, another wee lad would dare to become a unanimous All-America quarterback. Doug Flutie, Boston College. His coach, Jack Bicknell, gave him complete freedom. And during Doug Flutie's time at Chestnut Hill, the impossible became routine for the Golden Eagles. And the 1984 Heisman Trophy went to a 5'8" magician. Then there was the saga of the Irish Catholic kid who became a star quarterback at a university run by the Church of Latter-day Saints. Brigham Young's Jim McMahon, 1981 Consensus All-America. And as this decade closes out, McMahon still ranks as the best ever in both season and career passing efficiency. McMahon's explosion of social individualism didn't come until after he had become a Chicago Bear. But at both levels of the game, Mac has been a winner. And it was during the 1980s that the game of college football helped put another social myth to eternal rest, as all across the country, young black men were quarterbacking winning teams and doing it with all-American elan. Who could blame these youngsters for an occasional take that? And so as the curtain descends on this decade, the quarterback's role has been expanded as never before. The position representing a greater threat than ever before. Defenses more hard-pressed than ever before. And so sports once again has helped put an old myth to rest. The color of someone's skin tells you nothing of their character nor their potential. Quarterback is football's glamour position. But in recent times, the Heisman Trophy and its attendant glory has most often gone to that amazing blend of slashing moves, power, and speed, the running back. During the 80s, hype and agents poured through the cracks. The impact obvious in many ways, especially so for individual awards, which of course translate into dollars. The Heisman Trophy, intended for the best college football player in a given season, obviously impacted. Schools fell into mounting massive media campaigns for individuals. But wait, in 1988, Walter Mitty showed up one more time. His real name? Barry Sanders, running back, Oklahoma State University. Barry Sanders, Jr., had waited in anonymity for his chance, and for one magical season had all his dreams realized. There he was, dancing down the middle of the yellow brick road. The national media, citing his orbit near midseason, leaping at the opportunity to backlash the hype rolling out of Los Angeles for two favorite sons from that city. This was down-home stuff of the purest kind. No organized campaign, just Barry Sanders running, running, and running. Sanders broke Marcus Allen's single-season rushing record of 2,342 yards by more than 300 yards. He ran for 300 yards in a single game 4 times in a single season. 39 touchdowns, 234 points, 24 Division I-A records. And in the process, he may have redefined sports press agentry. They're larger, stronger, faster than ever before. And the game of football at any level remains fundamentally a collision sport. No, the stakes may not be measured in terms of dollars and cents, but for those who play the game, the college game, winning is its own reward. Never for a moment doubt it. The college game is a cauldron of intensity. When the collective wrath of a defensive unit is aimed in a particular direction, the unfortunate object is most often the opposing quarterback. The skill position player, high profile visibility, all spears aimed at those who put the points on the scoreboard. Beware, danger lurks in no man's land. quickness, speed, intelligence, strength, agility. Can there be a better, pure athlete than the defensive back? Those who can so quickly change the course and momentum of a game. A score by the defense always seems to carry enormous emotional impact. And occasionally, ever so occasionally, a linebacker or a lineman experiences that shining moment of glory. Sometimes, in our passion for this game, we forget these young people have to shoulder a rather heavy burden. For this business of being a student athlete is quite a challenge. Meeting academic responsibilities, striving to excel on the playing field, and all the preparation that goes into both, while withstanding the rigors of this most physical of sports. It's no wonder that some simply don't make it. But many do quite well, thank you, and certain schools stand out. Virginia and Duke have winning programs and regularly graduate every player. Notre Dame competes at the top level of the game with a near 100% graduation rate. And then there's the saga of the guys in the black shoes and the nondescript uniforms. The Nittany Lions of Penn State and their near legendary coach, Joe Paterno. Model of consistency in both academics and athletics. Top scholarship and winning football go hand in hand at Penn State. The Nittany Lions have built a championship tradition on that fundamental premise in football, defense. After all, this is the place that calls itself Linebacker U. An emphasis on academic achievement hasn't had any noticeable negative effect at Penn State. No, sir. Not with 2 national championships in this decade. There is no place more wrapped with college football legend than Notre Dame du Lac. There is no college nor university which has used the imagery and drama of the game to greater advantage. The successful appeal of the Notre Dame football teams have been a solid part of the foundation that has helped build this university into one of the nation's most respected institutions of higher learning. The Gifford, Rockne, Leahy, Parsegian. Now there is Holtz. Lou Holtz, actor, psychologist, humorist, teacher, master salesman, and above all, he can coach. It took Lou Holtz just 3 seasons moved the Fighting Irish from the middle of the pack to the national championship. The key step in 1988, beating an old foe, Southern California, in Los Angeles, and they did it decisively. In actual fact, there was another game that opened the way for Notre Dame to claim the 1988 national title. It was played on campus in South Bend in mid-season against the defending national champion, Miami Hurricanes. It would later be judged the game of the year in college football. On October 15, 1988, Notre Dame's indomitable spirit became a triumphant whirlwind. Notre Dame's heart-stopping triumph deprived Miami of a third national championship in the 80s, which surely would have locked the Jimmy Johnson era into legendary status. Johnson refined the work begun by Howard Schnellenberger at Miami. He rebuilt that Hurricane program, and he won the school's first national title in '83. Jimmy Johnson furthered the reputation, constructing a 52-9 record and claiming another national championship in 1987. The Hurricanes lay claim as the team of the 80s. And there's some pretty impressive evidence to back it up. Six times in this decade, Miami met teams ranked number one. 6 times Miami won. Not bad. During the 1980s, 2 other universities claimed national championships that might be considered something of a surprise. How about Clemson? The South Carolina school had a long run of reasonable success under Coach Frank Howard. But it was one of Bears' boys, Danny Ford, who coached the Tigers to their first national championship. The Tigers earned it, too, beating mighty Nebraska in the 1982 Orange Bowl, claiming their title. Now the Tigers are a fixture in the national top 10 and a ranking power in the Atlantic Coast Conference. In 1984, the Brigham Young Cougars from Provo, Utah, posted a 13-0 record, beat storied Michigan in the Holiday Bowl, and went on to become the most controversial national champion in recent memory. The Cougars were the country's only undefeated Division I team, and so the precedent of an admittedly provincial selection process gave BYU the vote as number 1. Widespread caterwauling followed from those who knew nothing of the caliber of Rocky Mountain football in general and the BYU program in particular. But this, after all, is the school that refined the passing game to a fine art, developing extraordinary quarterbacks, setting records by the bushel-full, and winning a whole lot of football games in the process. Between the mid-70s and mid-80s, the Cougars won 10 straight Western Athletic Conference championships. They have been to a bowl game every year since 1978. No secret to the Cougars' rise to prominence, just outstanding coaching, embodied by the 1984 National Coach of the Year, Lavelle Edwards. The national championship, number 1, King of the Hill. That's the dream. But this game is so much more than the confrontation on the playing field. It's a magic carpet for all manner of dreams, fantasies, imagery, and almost outrageous vicarious adventuring. It is the great plane on which to ride with manly destiny, to test macho courage without the risk of the real blade or the real bullet. It is a conduit for honest, healthy, emotional release.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your halftime entertainment, the University The Queen and her court are now entering the stadium. Illegal procedure against the offense. Ball is on the 8-yard line. 4th down and goal.
College football is a very provincial subject. Oh, it rouses the feelings so deeply of the faithful. And those rivalries exist all over the country. In every corner you find a particular rivalry that has such deep meaning. Without provincialism, there couldn't be partisanship, and without partisanship, there wouldn't be the wonderful rivalries that have become part of the tradition of college football, a basic element in the color and flavor of this game. The birthplace of the college football rivalry is in the Ivy League, and none bigger than the game, Harvard and Yale. The lads still sing the whip-and-poof chorus, still drink their suds from a tankard after the game, and the Yaleys still reminisce about folks like Brian Dowdy, Bulldog quarterback of the late 60s, a Frank Merriwell-like performer who became the model for a famous comic strip character. No, this rivalry may not have the importance it once did, but just to put the record straight, if the Ivies chose to go into big-time recruiting within half a decade, they'd be right back there on top with the best teams in the country. Across this land, many equate the Stanford, California rivalry to that of Harvard-Yale. In the San Francisco Bay Area, this is the big game. Oh, it's fun to attend, because in this contest, the underdog always seems to win. Yes, both schools are bastions of the intellectual. Both have produced several outstanding professional players. But winning the X is the big thing. After that, you can ponder where the next All-America quarterback is going to come from, if you have the time and if you really care. I mean, there are certain times, places, and games where a six-pack and a blanket are still in style. And old rivalries provide just the right atmosphere. 400 miles down the California coast, the country's most heated intra-city rivalry exists, Southern California and UCLA. In the Los Angeles area, this game often pits friend against friend, relative against relative. And no doubt about it, this is one of the top rivalries in the entire country because so much is so often at stake when these teams meet. Consider, one or the other of these schools has represented the Pac-10 in the Rose Bowl 20 times in the past 28 years. Little wonder there is such a passionate, intense showdown. USC, UCLA, Trojan against Brewer. This is one day when LA shows the rest of the nation it is anything but laid back. And then there's the Iron Bowl, Legion Field, Birmingham, Alabama, Auburn. Roll Tide, War Eagle. Can't you just hear them? 37,500 for the Tide, a like number for the Tigers, a neutral field, a house divided. Talk about pure emotion, raw intensity. Well, that's what this rivalry is all about. It's produced as many memorable games and legendary names as any ever played. And as the 1980s fade into history, so does a unique character of this rivalry. Auburn has argued for years that Birmingham is an edge for the Crimson Tide. Both home stadiums have been enlarged, and the traditional game is about to shift to the respective campuses. Maybe not all that bad, but I doubt the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce will ever agree. Michigan, Ohio State, for so long, the big two of the Big Ten, dominated by the personalities of Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes. Woody left us in the 80s, and Bo took on added duties as athletic director at Michigan. Looks like he hasn't lost the touch, though, claiming one of the Big Ten's rare victories in recent years in the 1989 Rose Bowl. It is this series, as much as any, that reminds me of Coach Dutch Meyer's marvelous exhortation to his Horned Frogs of TCU when Dutch said, "Fight 'em till hell freezes over and then fight 'em on the ice." I mean, what else is there? Everybody has a favorite game to remember from each decade, and the 80s had an abundance of special memories. Like 1982. Cal, Stanford. 4 seconds left, the Cardinal leading by 1. Just a routine kickoff and start the party. Wrong. Enter the Stanford band.
Cal still alive at the 50, the 45, another lateral. The Stanford band's on the field. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. He's going through the Stanford band.
How about 1984? Miami leads Boston College 45-40. 2 seconds to play. Doug Flutie and his pals. And this miracle.
Looking to throw the ball long. Hail Mary, he uncorks it. Looking in the end zone, and it caught! And it caught! Salem caught the football. It is a touchdown for the Eagles. Boston College football game on the
88, Florida State at Clemson, both ranked in the top 10, tied at 21 with just under a minute left. FSU in punt formation.
Got 10 of the line of scrimmage. They're coming after it. It's 21-21. And here's the short handoff, and the little handoff to the outback. Leroy Butler's got a long way to go to the 40. Leroy Butler to the 50. Leroy Butler to the 40, to the 30. Leroy Butler to the 20. Leroy
This bold and gutsy call pays off. The Seminoles win it on a field goal in the closing second. And how about the 1980 Holiday Bowl? A shootout between BYU and SMU. The Pony Express backfield of Craig James and Eric Dickerson have had their way. The Mustangs leading by 20 late in the game. And then in just the final 3 minutes, a most improbable turn of events.
Lock both backs. Everybody run right to the goal line. All three receivers. Tight end and two wide receivers. Throw it up. Yeah.
Somebody said last year the Rose Bowl had the drama, but the Holiday Bowl had the dazzle. And it's got it again tonight. Back to throw. Last down. No time on the clock. It's up in the air. It is deep. It is what? He caught it. It's a touchdown.
This one still rates pretty high on the all but impossible scale. But how about 1988? Top-ranked Miami at Michigan. The Wolverines have whipped the Canes all over Michigan Stadium for 3.5 quarters. Miami looking lifeless, and the Big Blue holding a 30-14 margin. A comeback against Schembechler's defensive legions in front of a hostile crowd of more than 100,000 with just minutes left on the clock? What kind of odds would you give on a Miami win?
It bounces. It goes 10. Scramble. Miami has got it. Miami got the football. Oh, my!
With a crucial gain by Cleveland Gary, Miami moves into position to cap one of the decade's most stirring comebacks. College football, a truly remarkable game. Pomp and circumstance, color and spectacle. A uniquely American sport, seeming at times larger than life. But sometimes we forget those warriors wearing the hard hats and colors on the collegiate playing field, they're mostly teenagers. Young people trying to do something. Sometimes they succeed beyond all expectations. Sometimes they don't. But that's all right. There will always be those of us who will stand up and cheer, cheer, cheer for the old college game.